Thank you, Jing Shuang. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us today for this session on Connected Real Estate, which is a partnership between IoT Asia Plus and Build Tech Asia in collaboration with Starhub. IoT Asia Plus offers a refreshed concept that addresses the convergence of IoT with 5G, AI, robotics, and other disruptive technologies. We have curated pertinent topics in the areas of connected retail, healthcare, transport and logistics, and real estate to address the rising need of connectivity and digitization in these segments. There will be a sharing of reference case studies, solutioning showcases, open learning sessions, and industry roundtables that encourages discussion between key stakeholders. IoT Asia Plus will be a 2-day hybrid conference and exhibition that will happen on 23rd to 24th March 2022 next year. Please visit our website internetofthingsasia.com for more information. Meanwhile, please enjoy this session and we look forward to welcoming you to IoT Asia Plus in March next year. Thank you all. Over to you, Jing Shuang.
Thank you, Darren. Next, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Chris Chen, 5G Solutions Delivery Lead from the Enterprise Business Group at Starhub. Chris manages the 5G IoT team in implementing sensor data into Starhub's 5G IoT platform across various verticals from building management, facility management, fleet monitoring, hygiene cleanliness monitoring, to warehouse and logistic management. Chris will be addressing 5G-enabled connected buildings and how the 5G networks will amplify the impact of IoT deployments. Without further ado, let's welcome Chris.
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for the time to be here today. So my name is Chris, and I'm leading the 5G business solution within Starhub Enterprise Business Group. So hope all of you and your families are well and keep staying safe. I've spoken to some government agencies and several organizations management recently, and there's one common agenda, right, that's at the top of their priority list, and that's sustainability. And to achieve this, they have identified IoT as a technology that's essential and critical to achieve this, and it needs to be put in place, and quickly too. Before I share more on this, let me touch on something equally exciting first, 5G. Well, 5G is being touted as the technology that will forever redefine the possibilities. While 5G supersedes 4G, it isn't just faster, it's ultra fast. And apart from speed, 5G is more capable than 4G in terms of reliability, connectivity, and it also brings futuristic technologies to life. Okay, so what is 5G, right? Like I said, well, 5G it supersedes 4G, and it's not just faster, right? It's super fast. So some of the 5G use cases are as per illustrated here in terms of smart buildings, utility management, autonomous vehicle, security and surveillance, smart wearables, and so on. All of these use IoT in some ways or another to sense and capture data to be stored for further processing. And with IoT, automation is a given. On-site data collection by humans can now be done off-site and faster. There's no more physical constraint, and even at the most remote locations, data can be collected, and of course, the prerequisite is the availability of the connectivity. So, what does 5G bring forth? Improve broadband, so that we can improve the overall user experience, low latency communication, reduce connectivity delays, and higher density, higher device density to improve coverage and deep indoor penetration. And finally, the network slicing, which is independent network for dedicated connection. So how does all this IoT, how does IoT benefits from 5G? Right. So firstly, 5G will be 10 times faster than the current LTE networks. And this increases the speed in terms of allowing the devices to communicate and share data faster, leading to quicker realization of business outcomes. So one major advantages of 5G, right, is low latency. And latency is the time it takes a signal to travel from one point to another. So from a sensor in your customer's shopping cart, for example, to their mobile app, it'll be very fast. 5G networks, right, have a delivery latency between 1 to 10 milliseconds compared to 50 milliseconds delivered by 5G. And that is super fast. And as I mentioned earlier, 5G is not just about speed. Connected devices need a reliable and stable network connection to be able to perform effectively. And 5G, right, has the ability to handle a large number of connected devices. It can support up to 1 million devices per square kilometers. That is 10 times more than 5G. Lastly is network slicing. This will enable dedicated network to support our critical functions and will not be disrupted by other activities that's going through the network. This will ensure your overall performance and reliability of your connected devices. So now let's look at how IoT works, right, to achieve smart buildings. So these are some of the common areas which facilities management team is looking into to improve operational efficiency and cost optimization. So they'll drive energy efficiency and reduce carbon footprint to facilitate sustainable buildings, a lower utility bills and reduce wastages with smart energy and resource planning management, increase automation to reduce mundane tasks and optimize workforce efficiently, workplace safety as well, with cleaner facilities and environment sensors to improve the overall indoor air quality, and also drones for perimeter surveillance, as well as monitoring building conditions, and also enhance resilience with predictive maintenance and remote monitoring. And the list goes on and on, right? Okay, so having just an IoT system is not sufficient. It needs to be an integrated system platform that is able to connect and interact with devices and other enterprise systems. There's a need to have a simple and easy way to integrate with existing systems. Like, for example, our Starhub IoT platform. We have created an ecosystem that allows our platform to exchange data, control, and interacts with existing system and mobile applications. These systems, right, includes SAP, for example, cloud-native apps in the various cloud platforms, big data technologies, BI tools, and of course, IoT devices using various industrial protocols. And not to mention that this platform can be done on-prem and on cloud. So let's look at what we have done for the smart estate POC. So we have actually implemented smart energy management in terms of real-time consolidated view of multiple sensors for temperature, water, and electricity meters to deliver electricity sustainability and efficiently. We also did a tracking robots to track some of these cleaning robots and shuttle bus using geofencing to ensure operational efficiency. Smart hygiene, optimized cleaning schedule based on occupancy data, monitor toilets and other common areas based on actual demand. And we also have the car park facilities in order to do a real-time monitoring of car park lots to preempt overcrowding issues. Last but not least, we have also included predictive maintenance to remotely monitor assets, proactively identifying faulty equipment that requires servicing and reduces downtime. So let's dwell a little bit more into the smart hygiene solution that we have also enabled. So with the smart hygiene solution, we have efficiently, right, you will able to monitor the restrooms, the status across the whole building or on isolation by itself. This will allow us, right, to have a lower cost by working closely with the cleaning company in optimizing the cleaning workforce towards a performance-driven model. So this smart hygiene solution, right, combines the various IoT devices together with our workflow applications and of course with our IoT platform that enables, right, the monitoring and the KPI matrices. In terms of our dashboards, we empower operational monitoring in terms of viewing real-time status for restrooms, such as the footfall, ammonia, sewer gas, temperature, and all these KPIs that we use, right, to measure the comfortable zone, the comfort level of a user experience for them on a daily basis. We are also able to view alerts that will actually send automatically escalations, notifications once it exceeds a predefined threshold. We will be also monitoring the workforce performance metrics, and this will allow us, right, to generate and view the report for vendors' SLO for daily and monthly response and resolution time. So this is to ensure that the vendors, right, are performing as expected, and we can also choose our preferred vendors, right, for contract renewal in terms of comparing 2 or even 3 of them based on their past performance. We also provide analytics dashboards that will assist the FM facilities managers to determine the optimal cleaning schedule based on sensor readings, availability of the manpower, and the per location utilization levels. And finally, we also have this digital workforce mobile app that digitalizes the traditional restroom cleaning checklist used by the cleaning vendor. The mobile app will be able to notify vendors when sensor measurements in the restroom exceed a certain threshold, so that they can be on an on-demand schedule to clean and replace the consumables. And this will also allow the facility management staff to conduct checks on the cleanliness to ensure the performance, be it physically or even remotely. Next, so in terms of this, right, our Starhub 5G IoT platform brings forth, right, certain a fair value benefits to our customers. It's a plug-and-play solution that brings together all the multiple moving parts that are required for a successful IoT strategy. So the first is simplicity, right? So our end-to-end plug-and-play platform allows businesses in Singapore to adopt this 5G IoT without the complexity involved. Starhub will serve as a trusted one-stop shop for connectivity to the IoT platform and for expert professional services. The next is security. With Starhub, you don't have to worry about that in terms of your data and your applications. We employ a zero-trust, proactive security approach that safeguards identities and access against cyber threats. And we also ensure regular backups to enhance business resilience. Next is speed. Mid-sized businesses do not have the luxury, right, of a long turnaround time for projects that offer return on investments over multiple years. So a combination of our domain expertise, managed services, integrated platform, and subscription model ensures that you can launch your IoT project quickly and demonstrate returns swiftly. Cost effectiveness is the fourth benefit. After years of partnering with small and medium-sized businesses in Singapore, we know there are capital and cash flow constraints of your business. And with our pay-as-you-go model, there will be a low upfront cost, predictable installments, and the ability to scale up in conjunction based on your requirements. And finally, with Starhub, you get the ability to compete. I mean, the IoT platform, right, helps to lower the complexity and cost barriers to new technology adoption, and also speeds up innovation and time to market. With that, I've come to the end of this presentation. And of course, I'll welcome everybody, anyone who are interested to explore further, and we can discuss in greater details on how you can start on your sustainability journey using IoT with minimum outlay and ensure quick results. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for the insightful sharing. For our next session, please join me in welcoming our moderator for the panel discussion, Ms. Farizan that resides in Moran. Farizan is the senior partner at GreenA Consultants, an award-winning green building consultancy firm based in Singapore and Africa. Trained in both strategic and technical consulting, Farizan has more than 25 years of experience in sustainability, energy, and the built environment. Farizan and her fellow panelists will be addressing smart buildings leveraging IoT technologies to build an energy-efficient and sustainable future. Farizan, over to you, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that. It's a very exciting afternoon with three exciting panelists to share with us this afternoon sharing session. So without too much time, I think we lost some track of time just now for the little glitch. So I'll go straight into, let me introduce you to the first person on the panel, Professor Daniel Wong. He is a practice professor at NUS. Prior to this, he was working in LSP, Goldman Sachs, Sentosa, and Arcadis for the past 25 years. He brings a wide array of global experience in IoT, project, and facility management. Next, we have Jonathan, which is the Managing Director of UnaBiz, Singapore. He's overseeing business relationships with ecosystem partners, clients, and resellers in Singapore. Formerly, he's the head of sales for Singtel, global fixed satellite business. Jonathan has 24 years of ICT broad-based experience in IoT, telecom, satellite, smart city solutions, and infrastructure. Next, we have not too far away from our little island in Singapore is Teguh Prasetya. Mr. Teguh is the founder and chairman of Indonesia IoT Association and is the president director of PT Alia Praya Mitra. He has a wealth of experience in IoT space and Indonesia since 1990 and is involved in multiple projects. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I know it's lunchtime, but this particular session is super exciting. I couldn't just wait to ask all of you the questions. So first up, we now live in such an exciting world full of IoT usage application, which has risen tremendously. Me, myself, I've experienced those as well. So is it possible to detect and control with all the buzz around IoT? Many are worrying questions such as the contribution it has to sustainability and to energy. So I would like to ask the first question to all panelists. Singapore has just given out its new plans and its targets to reach 80% of its new building to be super low energy by 2030. So what is the role of IoT in these targets? Maybe I can have some of your words, Professor Daniel, first.
Thank you very much, Farizan. Certainly, super low energy is one of those things we are all going to be aspiring to. In the NUS, we've actually built the first super low energy building. It's still in work progress, but certainly it's going to come up. It's going to be applicable for all of us here in Singapore. But of course, there's also a paradigm shift on how we actually adjust to a super low energy building. So it's going to be something that will combine both IoT as well as social norms. Back to you, Farizan.
Yeah, that's quite true. That's quite true. But a lot of people, right, are still very confused about this word IoT, especially in the building sector. I mean, it's very much aligned with telecommunication and people more or less they can relate that to. But in the building line, and apart from what Chris has actually showed, is there anything else that could actually touch base in terms of sustainability? Maybe Jonathan, you can contribute a fair bit on this.
Sure. Of course, in the green building and so forth, there are things that intrinsically save energy, maybe a better air conditioning and so forth. But the thing is, most of these are standalone, all right? And the thing is, how do you then be able to collect data from the building environment itself and then send a feedback loop to the machinery and thereafter to create even a better energy saving? So this is, I think, where IoT comes in, because it brings about different kind of systems together into one coherent one. It is still now we're still in the developing. So what is IoT, right? Okay, what's it? It's actually essentially 4 areas. You have sensors collecting data, and the sensor will then go through a network, and the network will then get into a cloud system to manage it. And thereafter, you have an application who will then manage it. And thereafter, this application will then be able to send certain control to do a certain thing, right? So broadly is that you listen, you process, you think, and then you act, right? It's much like what a human does, right? So the thing is, so what is a simple thing is, what if, let's say, you're able to deploy sensors all around the building to collect the building activities in terms of, let's say, temperature. What is the temperature of the building? And even things like you can collect data on who are the people out there. Is there activities? Or you can collect data on what time of the day or what day of the month or week is it. And with all this information, you can then collate it onto the system, and you can then use it to optimize your air conditioning, optimize the building performance. And from there, you can actually create and even create energy saving systems. So one of the example right now is a project we are doing in Temasek Poly with a partner of ours, which is Sabana Jurong, very well known. We are about to deploy 3,000 sensors across the entire building, collecting data, temperature, humidity, motion, activities. And with this data, we're then able to digest it, ingest it, and create a certain intelligent analytics, and thereafter be able to create building performance things like how to optimize the temperature, humidity, HVAC, how to then optimize the building performance, how to optimize the room booking systems, how to optimize the security. So all of this is part where IoT comes in as example.
Yeah, very exciting, Jonathan. But hold on your thoughts there a bit. Maybe I just jump over to Mr. Teguh. Do you see the same excitement, the same dynamic, the same kind of force that's actually also happening in Indonesia? Or Indonesia is such a big country, so Jakarta alone, do you see things are picking up in that sense? How is the IoT landscape there in Indonesia?
Well, of course, thank you for your introduction anyway. For sure, yes. High-rise building is, as we know, 40% of the energy consumed by the high-rise building, especially in the big city like Singapore or big countries like Singapore, capital city, or Jakarta as a capital city, is how to manage all the energy. IoT is given for layer of what's it. One is regarding sensor. So we put a lot of sensor in the building. Secondly is regarding network, how we can run all the network that is available there, whether it was be Wi-Fi or it will be a low power wide area network, which is LoRa or NB-IoT, or the new one, the 5G is coming as well. 5G is not only for public, but also for standalone, for private network as well. So this is kind of like a second layer. The third layer is regarding the platform itself. How we can introduce the platforms to building management system, intelligent building management system that can manage all the devices, all the sensors, including the platform itself, security of it, and then the platform for analytics, for dashboard, and more of them. It is the fourth layer which is important, which is the application layer. So with this application, so we can do analytics way, we can control it, we can activate, not only giving the sensor, but we can activate it, the building becoming more efficient, more enhanced, and more robust, more reliable. So for the new building here in Indonesia especially, it is mandated to get the green building certification. Therefore, IoT is what we call is necessity there to be embedded for their building automation system. So that's what happened here in Indonesia. Again, building is one thing, high-rise building is one thing, but also landed house is also important here. As you know, in Indonesia itself, we have 70 million of houses here. The growth of smart houses implementation in Indonesia is going rapidly. 2019, it only 1.5 million of smart home. But 2020, during the COVID pandemic, it is increased to becoming 6.5 million of smart home in Indonesia. And we predict at the end of this year, 2021, it will end up with 12 million of home, which is already include IoT inside, becoming smart home in Indonesia. So that is the fact that IoT is adopted very fast here too.
Interesting, Pak Teguh. Very interesting. Interesting to jump from a different typology of buildings, one which is a high-rise and commercial, to residentials, which is actually landed property. Obviously, the market is very, very, very different, I guess, in terms of IoT sectors. So maybe I'd like to ask Professor Daniel a little bit. You did mention about NUS. Is there any profound features that you can actually think about that is extremely useful and is very connected to energy for the projects that you mentioned just now, Prof. Daniel?
Right. Well, certainly in some of our research, we've actually done a survey of over 50,000 occupiers in 300 over buildings. And one of the things that we take away from that survey was that generally 50% of the occupiers are not satisfied with the quality of their working space, living space. So without IoT, certainly this is an area that can help to harness and collect data, whether people are comfortable with their environments or not. Of course, we have the standard complaints and feedback through normal means, sending a form. But again, that's tedious and slow. But today with 5G and, Chris just now introduced the speed, the reduction of latency. These also have knock-on effects on other kinds of equipment in the FM field. For example, with 5G, if I wanted to download a movie of 3 hours, I could take something like only 4 or 5 seconds. What does that do for me in terms of equipment or for a personal user like myself? First of all, my battery don't run out because I use less power. There's less heating on the device. So my device or equipment or my drone or my robot will last longer. It will live longer in terms of battery life. It can sustain longer performances. So there's many knock-on positive effects in the research that we've been doing in NUS. On top of that, if you look at the various different equipment that's available today, there's also the challenge of ensuring that both 5G, IoT, all the different platforms of data analytics collected from drones, from robotic cars, robotic autonomous robot dogs, they all have to be synchronized into a common platform. So this is an exciting time for us because with the opening of 5G, it's allowing us to collect millions of data points as well as analyzing them. So they can not only be just collection, but a very meaningful collective machine learning. And that leads to predictive maintenance.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Sometimes catching on to what you just mentioned with IoT, also this question can be to Jonathan or Teguh as well. A lot of people see IoT as very contributive. It's supposed to make our life easier, isn't it? It's supposed to predict, it's supposed to tell, it has an AI, it has a machine learning, etc. But do you think us as humans are ready for the big IoT system, not just the simple ones? Because more or less, I see people who always still says, can we override the system? Can we do without it, if we would like to? And that actually impedes the benefit away from it. So my question over to you, Jonathan, overriding and trying to let people to understand the benefit, do you see much of a challenge there in education for those users? Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks. Definitely, it is a step forward, right? If you look, I see that I've been in technology for many years, and I would say that there's always a stage of technology hype, right? Then there's a stage of technology understanding, a stage of trying, and then thereafter the technology will sort of disappear. In that, I said disappear because it get into the mainstream. Can you already remember when does internet start to come to Singapore? All right, I was one of the very early pioneers back in 1995. All right, maybe some panelists don't even born there yet. 1995, but it took a good about nearly 10 years, roughly 2006 or so, when Facebook is born, and it's only about broadband coming to 2015, 2008, 29, the broadband comes out, and that's where I think iPhone comes about and internet become very mainstream. It takes a bit of time. So same with IoT, all right? We have been stage of people are just understanding where the technology comes in and how are the use case. 3 years ago, I think when we in a panel like this, people asking what the use case, why is it being used for? Which is a little bit similar to what Chris is talking about, or what is the use case of 5G? Because 5G is not really in here yet, right? But today, as of now, today, all right, where is the stage of IoT in Singapore and around the world? I can quite say, I mean, almost from a startup. 5 years ago, when we started, I'm trying to pitch a technology and looking for solution. Today, as of now, even as we speak, I can proud to say that UnaBiz is a company where deploy more than 1 million sensors all around the world. All right, 1 million sensors. We design, deploy, activated, collecting data across Japan, across Australia, across Taiwan, across Singapore, across Latin America, and so forth. All right, in area of smart building, in area of metering, in area of collecting data and from various building asset management. So in Singapore, where is IoT for us? A lot that's very hot now is in the building sector. All right, as is now, 2 years ago, it is a stage of people asking, hey, what are the use cases? Today, you see IoT in the government specification for smart building. You see the IoT in specification for facility management. It have gone mainstream, and we are supporting many of the different vendors to deploy solutions. Like just now I mentioned, Temasek 3000 sensor is one of the integrated facility management contract that's just starting. And we see the trend is going up. Right now, people are collecting data, people are understanding, and people are creating an incremental advantage over the rest. But has it gone revolutionized yet? Honestly, I think still a step more to go. I don't know if Professor Wong will have a different opinion, but it is definitely coming. Of course, I spoke to many different vendors, facility managers, and so forth. The very progressive one is really investing in it. They are putting solutions, they are collecting data, they are creating digital twins, they are creating a system to improve building performance. And there are also others that, let's see what happens next, see whether it's in the spec, or let's put in when the government only asks for it. So, but the thing is, in this, we can see that there will be a progression and there will be a diversion of the capability of the companies, right? The progressive one will increase. And we can see how the trend is always clear. Digitalization over time will transform the society. And we don't just, and also the organization is no longer doing digitalization for the sake of it, but they are trying to use it to reap returns too. And one big returns that people are looking very, very hot today is clearly none other than sustainability. Eventually, whatever digital effort there, it had to create a sustainability in terms of energy saving, in terms of how to reduce manpower, which is a very big issue in Singapore. If you can have any things that can reduce manpower, it is definitely going to be very, very hot. And things like how are we able to optimize the resources, not just people, but also assets. And how to make sure every asset that you put in can be stretched in terms of the performance and in terms of length of time. And on top of it, and finally, how are many of these can further improve the user's experience with new functionalities. So all of this is actually right now progressing, and we're seeing it more and more. And as I said before, the progressive company is putting it proactively. All right, that's one stage. And at the same time, the basic one is really in many government specs. All right.
Talking about sustainability and energy as well, Jonathan, thanks for that. Thanks for sharing. Also, the most hot topic to add on to it is actually the pandemic, which is the COVID, which I could say that is very beneficial to have IoT sensors in place. So maybe I go over to Pak Teguh. Pak Teguh, have you seen any sensors? Have you mobilized any sensors? Can you share a little bit based on sensors that actually can detect or prevent in some ways or inform people on COVID or indoor air quality that you have actually experienced in Indonesia?
Well, yeah, actually we are now start exploring the sensor based on volatile organic compound digital. That was issued by Robo Scientific things that they can sniff actually the presence of the virus 19 of the SARS-CoV-19 viruses. It's working like dogs sniffing on the air, and they can detect which area is COVID related there and which area is not. So those one is actually firstly developed from British scientists from UK, and right now we are exploring to do that, and also to expand more that one, not only for British but also coming down to Southeast Asia, and especially for Indonesia, which has currently hit again by the Delta variant of the COVID-19. So by that, yes, definitely for technology perspective, it is available, and now is the way to how we are exploit it more and deploy more to get awareness. But this one is still indoor, for indoor coverage, not for outdoor yet. So yeah, that's the answer.
Hey, thank you, Pak Teguh. I really like the way that you use sniff, because I didn't quite kind of like thought about the word sniffing. But then again, yeah, you could actually detect the IAQ, and for that onwards, put in mitigation measures. It could be also, I believe, right, Jonathan, it could also be crowd management, if I get it correctly, so that we are all within a safe distance that could actually prevent people from overcrowding and therefore prevent COVID from actually also happening. Have you have such experience as well in terms of IoT centers for IAQ as well, Jonathan?
Oh yes, thanks. The IAQ is one area that we've been working on. We have IAQ sensor for quite a time. And with the COVID experience, IAQ becomes suddenly a hot commodity. All right, people are putting in. And IAQ will be able to detect the level of impurities in the air, all right, for general health. And on top of that, it's not just IAQ. People are also putting in research, all right, even MOHS is studying this, it's not conclusive yet, on the level of carbon dioxide in the air, all right, and how would that impact the spread of COVID, because they would then be able to give you a number of people specifically on. So that is something that is, we do see and we are researching on it, and perhaps I think Professor Wong is something we can also discuss further. All right, how that can further improve and to use it to collect the data, and that's something I feel that could have an impact in the long terms. Of course, the other thing is, as you mentioned, is also crowd control and crowd monitoring. So those sensors we have the people counter, we have the sensor to put it under the desk to know whether is it possible to are you sitting too near to each other and how many rooms. So those are really quite in place, and those are quite standards, all right? And people are really beginning to put in some of these sensors onto their buildings, yeah. But the CO2 and the IAQ is something I feel very interesting to put.
Yeah, exactly. I think so too, Jonathan. I'm with you on this. Prof. Daniel, I just have a question also on FM, since you have a broad base of experience in it. Can building in the near future ignore IoT in their design? What do you think? And how does IoT contribute in the FM? Apart from what you have actually roughly mentioned, predictive, do you think that facility manager, I mean, although that's another topic altogether, but can you share with us what value does it facility measurement and IoT system?
Right. I've been practicing facility management over 25 years now. And again, one of the big challenges with FM is manpower. Now, can you ignore IoT? The simple answer is absolutely not. But on top of that, you not only have to keep up with IoT, you have to exceed and be ahead of the curve in order to win the business or drive a business in FM. Now, a lot of owners, building owners, developers, the stat boards, they want to get ahead of that curve. But one of the biggest challenges is R&D, research and development for IoT. Certainly right now, with all these speakers and the panelists today have shared, we are at the tipping point of trying to stay ahead of this curve. We want it now, we want it yesterday. But I think one of the big challenges, again, is that we are still finding the connection, how we're going to use that data, how to make it meaningful. Now, if you have the COVID, for example, right now we have safety ambassadors going around, and you know, in your own neighborhood, you can see how many safety ambassadors are walking. Could you imagine if you have one of the robotic dogs from MPACs who've been testing, and you have a few of them running around? Now, obviously, they're not going to just run around and drain battery. They've got to be connected to 5G. They got to analyze people. There's a lot of information coming on. So certainly, a lot of these things will change the way FM is going to be operated with the help of IoT. Now, some people are worried that with technology, with IoT, FMers will become redundant. Actually, to the contrary, it just means that more of the meaningful work, the studies, the strategy, the planning will be shifted over to people, whereas more of the rudimentary daily maintenance, for example, walking the ground, like what our safety ambassadors do, and we thank them for that, can be pushed on to robots, but we are not there yet now, because again, 5G is going to just come on stream. IoT is just linking these platforms so that we can have the data analytics for it. So it's going to take time, but it will develop, and for sure, we will have to take IoT as part of our daily lifestyle. It's no longer a wish, it's a necessity for all businesses to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Daniel. I think the rise of IoT has taken very steep suddenly over the last few years. I think it also means that people need to adapt quickly, and people need to understand quickly and understand where this is, the benefits of it, where is it actually going. Otherwise, as what you mentioned, the amount of big data will be lost. And those are information which are crucial in what we actually do at the moment. So I know this is quite a burning question. Most of the smart buildings or even smart houses, Pak Teguh, do you think in any way will the value of the asset rise with the incorporation of IoT in smart buildings? And do you have any thoughts around it? Do you think for homes, which are smart homes, do you think the value of the homes will rise? Do you think the developer will be able to sell more with these smart devices? Maybe over to you, Pak Teguh.
Well, again, right now, okay, previously, if you are trying to sell landed house or real estate, there should be, okay, this building should be broadband internet embedded, or should be cable TV included on the offering. But right now, trend is different. Every time the real estate is advertised, it is smart home. Now it is IoT embedded, meaning the IoT is now the value, embedded value for each houses should have include that into their basic offering. Not only value added offering, but becoming basic offering. Why we need that? We know as of now, because of the pandemic, because of work from home behavior, because everything should be done by home, meaning the home or the houses or the real estate should be able to capture the new way of life. That is, one is need of the security should be in place, which is, IoT is also offering that one, right? So you should able to capture all the video, all the analytic inside your house or surrounding your real estate. And secondly, not only that, but we should also able to control wherever or within our reach on our premises, which is real estate, house, and so on. So by that, meaning that, the trend of smart home, the trend of real estate should implement smart home, should implement IoT inside or embedded IoT. Now is becoming basic need for every new real estate that is want to sell more and more. So if you are asking me, what is the real benefit of the IoT? Well, without IoT, you cannot sell the new real estate right now, So every real estate, every landed houses, every apartment should have IoT inside, should embed with the smart home application or solution inside. No matter how deep is the smart home implementation itself, but again, smart home now becoming a tagline for the new houses or new apartment in not only Indonesia, I guess Singapore is also needed. That one is becoming trend, right? Previously, it should be internet connected, should be entertain ready, should be cable TV ready, but right now should able to capture the smart home or should be equipped with enough smart home capabilities. But again, it should also include the green energy itself, right? Energy efficiency and so on and so forth, which is, giving more value again, not only smart, but also giving us a lower energy consumption, renewable energy opportunity, and the future-proof thing. So that is my comment on that.
Thank you, Pak Teguh. Thank you so much. Which means I would say there's a conclusion there is a rise in the development or the smart homes value in terms of either resale value or rental value if it is more acute with IoT. I guess that's where it's actually heading for Asia. Am I right? So okay, so for Singapore side, again, Prof Daniel, I mean, open to Prof Daniel or Jonathan, whichever would like to take up the follow-up of this particular question. Do you think that a green building in Singapore embedded with a smart building, IoT and artificial intelligence would be able to command an elevated value? I mean, food for thought, although we have not lived to that experience just as yet, just as yet, but since more and more buildings are going to onboard IoT system and intelligence system, do you think it will actually push the value of that asset a bit higher? Perhaps Prof. Daniel, you would like to start off with this?
Thank you. Well, the Singapore government is pushing very hard on green buildings. So we know that that's going to happen whether you like it or not. I think one of the big challenges we have is existing old buildings. Now, so far, BCA have been reporting a very healthy green buildings conversion rate. But I think the big challenge comes from older buildings and how to convert those into green buildings. Now, energy is a big component of FM. So normally on our operation and maintenance, you're talking about 30 to 40% of your operation or maintenance costs solely attributed to energy. So that's a big sum of your O&M costs. Now, if you were to able shave off 15, 20% of that energy bill, would that be phenomenal? Wouldn't it be better to do something else with that money? So this is again why homeowners, developers, commercial building owners should take IoT seriously, because with that kind of reduction in energy and savings, it's going to help not only to elevate your asset, but it's going to improve your bottom line, because obviously your revenue is going to be better utilized. Your OPEX is certainly going to be reduced. Why wait? But again, I think one of the big challenges we have today is the technology is not all there yet. So there's also some apprehension from the building owners to embark on it. But certainly in the long term, it is definitely a plus for their asset class. Jonathan?
Yeah, thank you. Is it, put it this way, maybe I speak broader beyond just a green. If I could, recently I spoke to a managing director of a very large facility international company. He was saying that 10 years ago when they were doing their job, it is a lot of manpower allocation, how to allocate and so forth. Then the person was saying that 10 years later, he was saying that most like, well, today there's so many things on digital. 10 years later, he was saying that his job is going to be very much a tech job. So there'll be so many tech elements in there. There is the manpower allocation become a very small thing. What do I mean? He said, because 10 years ago, for example, in car park, we just have a park attendants. Today, can you imagine people still doing that? It's all fully digitalized. The job on the car park attendant is gone. All right. So 10 years from now, I think there'll be even more things. All right. So it is going to be very much part of our whole DNA, all right, for things like how to optimize and the utilization of our equipments and assets, how to optimize the utilization of our people, human. If there's anything that can cut down manpower, it's going to be $1 million solution. And how to increase user comfort. And we know that it have already been so. Same with taxi. A lot of it previously is allocation of people. Today is a lot of the application itself, how to optimize. So it's going to drive it. And the other thing I also say, and in addition to what Prof. Wong said, it's not just about increasing the value, increasing the cost and so forth, but it's also a part on the social, environmental responsibility that we have. I'm glad to hear that. I feel that 10 years ago, I think we have improved. I mean, in 10 years ago, I don't think many Singaporeans, especially in Asia, really bother much about energy consumption. I traveled to Dubai, Middle East. I can see, although it's a super hot country and oil rich, air conditioning is on 24/7 at 18, 16 degrees, and nobody don't care. They say, since I just pay a rent, why do I care about the aircon? But today, I think I'm glad that generally everybody is well aware and everybody is concerned. So there's this social element that we need to put. Yeah, so if for a building that actually can save energy, I think eventually people will pay for it, even if it will cost a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much true. I would say, so generally listening to Teguh, Jonathan, as well as Prof. Daniel, I would say respectfully, the value of every property will increase with the embedment of the IoT system, because the beneficial and quantifiable value that will actually come back and return to the operator is higher than I would say than not putting it in. So I would say definitely it's moving and shaping it down there. We have a few more minutes, like 3 minutes, although the next question is going to take longer than 3 minutes. But we're going to end on a high note. With IoT cloud-based monitoring, the world is becoming smaller. You know, Indonesia, we can monitor from here, isn't it? I mean, like anyone from here can actually remotely see what's happening there. So what are the problems that you feel could pose as a threat? Anyone who wants to, any of the three panelists who wants to take it up? We'll have a few more minutes now.
I'll just say very quickly, cybersecurity, as everything is going onto the internet and is cloud-based, there's always that concern of hacking and people not paying attention to update their laptops for the latest firewall. I pass over to the other panelists.
Yeah, also a question. Right now, as you speak, right now as you're using the Zoom, your computer right now is in also danger of being hacked. The camera that is actually watching, it could actually be live streaming you somewhere else. But are you stop using it? No, right? Because there is a possibility, right? But the thing is, the risk is small compared to the benefits. Same thing if you go out the road, there's always a risk of traffic accident. Do you stop using road? You don't. So I believe there is measure put in place and it will improve.
Okay, Pak Teguh.
Well, again, understood that security is concerned, but the improvement of the technology also is here. Number one, improvement of the edge computing, which is right now a lot of improvement and a lot of development itself on the edge computing side. And also even the CPU itself, you know, the CPU is becoming 5 nanometer and coming up 1 nanometers. So meaning is more and more powerful memory inside the edge, inside the sensors. One is there, then we can implement more robust and more security at the end devices. So we not only on the network layer, not only on the platform layer, not only on the application layer that we can strengthen the security, but also down the road on the sensor itself, which is, you know, embedded inside. So it is coming.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish this would continue, but unfortunately, so I'll have to thank you all for the panelists for joining me in this session with your valuable insights. I'll send it back to the MC.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.